Hey guys, it's Carl Brown for GuitarLessons365.com. Today we're going to begin our look at November Rain by Guns N' Roses. So in this first lesson, I'm going to go through all the chords, and I'm going to take care of a lot of the fills as well. And in the next lesson, we're going to take a look at Slash's first and second guitar solos. And in the third and final one, that whole outro that is, with the really dramatic guitar solo towards the end. Alright, so let's start here with these chords. Now, you know, there was a lot of piano on this, but guitar does go along, even a clean tone guitar. So I'm going to go through those chords. You'll hear the early verses and all that stuff being. So those chords are going to sound like this. Alright, so they're just kind of messing around with those chords, sometimes strumming, sometimes arpeggio picking them. So what the progression is during that verse, when they're accompanying the piano and the strings, it's just going to be the F major bar, then the D minor chord to C, and then repeat that again. Now they may repeat those three chords 2 or 3 times depending on the part of the song it's in. So you have to repeat it usually just twice. Then it goes to this order of chords, which is D minor to G to C. A lot of times they'll just kind of arpeggio pick that C and then do those 3 chords again. Now, the next chord progression just has 2 chords. This one he says that sometimes I need some time part, when he starts kind of repeating those lines. That is an F major chord to a G major chord. Actually, it's probably just a G power chord. You don't really need that B in there, so just mute that A string. And the rest is just a regular G major chord with the 3rd fret there on the B. And back and forth between those 2 chords twice. I'm sorry, 4 times. Alright, so now let's kick in some distortion here. Now that part I just played happens again before the guitar solo, and there's little guitar fills that are going on over it. So the next time you see those 2 chords just repeating like that, it'll be right before, it's between the first and second guitar solo. Well, I don't know if it's the next time, but it's the time between the first and second. And the fills you're going to hear are going to sound like this. And on that last note is when the second guitar solo comes in as an overdub. Alright, so that little fill there that's happening over there starts with the, so that's 7th fret on the D, and then do a hammer from 5 to 7 on the G, pull back off, back to over that 7 on the D. Then we have, which is 6, 5 on the B, to 5 on the G, 7 on the D. Then we have a hammer 5 to 7 on the G, and then 7, 5 on the D. And it kind of matches the vocal line here with a bend at the 6th fret on the B. And then you're going to pull off 6 to 5, and then back that same melody we did before. So far we have this. going to slide 5 to 7 on the G, let it ring. Then the same thing that we did before, resolve it to that 5th fret on the D right when that second solo comes in. Alright, so then we have pretty much the bridge chords, bridge progression that I played in the intro. It sounds like this. I'll just play the chords without that fill on top. Alright, so that's the low E power chord, then the 1st fret off that same string power chord, to a C power chord. It's off the 3rd fret of the 5th string. Let that ring, start it over again. Now this time the 3rd chord is going to be 2 frets higher than before, 5th fret there. That's when the fill comes in. 5th fret on the A string there. Start over. That's the same ending chord as the first time through. Then start over, same 2 chords again. This time we're going to end it with the 4th time you end it with a G power chord. So that's the 3rd fret on the B and the high E and the B. Open G and D string. Mute the 5th string with the bottom of your middle finger, and get that 3rd fret on the low E. All right. Now that little fill. Let me just play all that together again. Alright, so when you're playing through that and you hit that power chord at the 5th fret the first time, this fill comes in. Now that takes us into the first solo. So that little fill is 7th on the G, 5 on the B string, gonna half step bend and release there on it. To 7 on the G again, then a half step bend and release to the 4th fret on the G. Then a whole step bend and release to the 5th fret on the G. Back to the half step bend and release on the 4th, to 7 on the D and 5. Alright, now getting towards the outro section where everything really just gets really dramatic. We have a chord sequence, really kind of an interlude with these chord progression going on. It sounds like this. And then eventually it's just going to end with a C. Alright, so that starts with a C major chord. Now this next one's a G major chord, but you're going to have B in the bass, so don't pick the low E string. To an A minor, to that G power chord, to an F major, and back to that G power chord. So just repeat that. And eventually it's just going to stop on the C, where the whole song just kind of changes and builds up, and then we have a rhythm, you know, kind of a distorted rhythm part underneath that outro solo that Slash does that we're going to take a look at later. So let me just go through those chords again. Alright, so it's just going to repeat those chords again and again until the end of the song. So it kind of builds up on this C power chord. That's off the 3rd fret on the 5th string. And then play the chord, let it ring out full, then move it over to the 6th string, then down to the 1st fret on the same string. Then up to the 6th fret on the A string, just all power chord. Then the 4th fret on the low E. Then the 1st fret on the A string. And end it back to that C power chord that we started with. So we get from that 6th fret there. Again. Alright, so just repeat those to the end of the song. So in the next one, we're going to take a look at Slash's 1st and 2nd solo. I'll see you then.